December 7th, 1941, September 11th, 2001. These are dates that are burned into the soul of our nation. They represent times that have challenged us, brought out the best of us, and unified the country. But those days may never have been if it were not for the actions of one angry young man in June of 1914. This young man was 19-year-old Gavrilo Princip of the Austro-Hungarian province of Bosnia. Princip grew up in the hardscrabble life of a peasant farmer's son who was required to turn over 1/3 of their meager 4-acre harvest to their landlord. Left with little food with which to sustain themselves, 6 of Princip's 8 siblings would die in infancy. Destitute and desperate for hope, Princip would look beyond his upbringing to latch onto a movement that he felt would change the fate of his family and others like them. Princip would become associated with an ultranationalist Serbian group known as the Black Hand in an effort to take control of his own destiny. The Black Hand was promoting unrest in Bosnia in the hopes of leading to the province's secession from the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Aware of this rising tide, many in the imperial court wished to act quickly and decisively by attacking their Serbian neighbors. One man, however, would seek a more peaceful solution. This man was the heir apparent of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, Archduke Franz Ferdinand. He counseled that efforts should be made to understand the grievances of the Bosnian people. He proposed a visit to Sarajevo, capital of the Bosnian province, to inspect the troops and meet with local authorities. Despite his position as next in line for the throne, Ferdinand still had to face many indignities in the court of Vienna because of his marriage to his wife Sophie. Born of royal blood and madly in love with Franz, Sophie was not held in favor by the current emperor, Franz Joseph. In official processions, Sophie was not allowed to walk beside her husband, but instead at the end of the line of 44 archdukes and duchesses, many of whom were only toddlers. In order to marry Ferdinand, Sophie had to renounce any claim to the throne for both herself and her children. At official meals welcoming foreign dignitaries, a place would be set for Sophie, but she was not allowed to attend. Outside the court, however, Sophie was accorded all the privileges of being the future empress. Franz organized his planned visit to Sarajevo to be on June 28th to coincide with his 14th wedding anniversary. In addition to his official duties, the Archduke looked at the trip as something of a present to Sophie. On that day, Princip and 3 other young men would gather along the parade route with the intent of striking a blow against the aristocracy they felt was crushing the life from their home. As the motorcade swept through the city, the Archduke and his wife were greeted with cheering crowds and portraits of themselves in shop windows. Suddenly, a bomb flew from the crowd. Startled by the appearance of this mysterious object, the driver of the Archduke's open-air touring car slammed on the gas. The grenade bounced off the back of their vehicle and exploded under the car behind them. Instead of fleeing the scene, the Archduke ordered the car stopped to inspect the damage. Police were quickly able to catch the would-be assassin, and it appeared that the danger had passed. In the crowd, another young man reached into his pocket to draw his pistol, but upon seeing the Archduchess, decided not to pull the trigger. A third member of Princip's group decided that the assassination attempt was futile and went home. Princip himself was unable to work his way through the crowd until the motorcade had already passed him by. Disgruntled by his failure, Princip made his way to Apple Key to visit Schiller's Delicatessen. Finally having made it to City Hall and conducting his official visit, the time came for the Archduke to leave the city behind. Fearing another attack, city officials persuaded him to take an alternate route from town. Unfortunately, no one informed the lead driver of the convoy. Making a wrong turn down Apple Key, the Archduke's driver paused in front of Schiller's Delicatessen to turn around. The time was 10:34 a.m. Princip had his opportunity. Springing from the crowd, Gavrilo fired 2 point-blank shots into the Archduke and his wife. Blood spurted from the Archduke's jugular vein as his wife slumped into his side. Both injuries proved fatal. Now, Austria-Hungary had justification to attack Serbia. The Serbians reached out to their allies, the Russians, prompting the Austrians to seek their allies, the Germans. And so, the nations of Europe began to spiral towards war. By August of 1914, the spark that had ignited on that June morning blossomed into the first global conflict of the modern era. Over 20 million soldiers and civilians would lose their lives over the course of the next 4 years before the war ended in a flawed peace treaty that would add kindling to the fire of terrorism and war that has consumed the globe for over 107 years and counting.